Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Jessica, and as you can see by the title of today's video, I'm going to be doing a social media Q&A. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up and hit the subscribe button down below if you want to stick around for more videos. Let's just get into it. Recently on Instagram, I asked y'all for some questions related to social media, influencer, social media management, and I picked my favorites and we will be going through those today. The first question I have is, how did I learn social media management? I've been self-taught this whole way. There's really no way to properly learn social media because by the time it's taught in schools or in colleges, it is different by the time you get into the real world because social media changes like every few months. It's so different. I basically just learned on my own. I'm a very strategic-minded person to the point that it's so frustrating. Like, I can't do anything without strategy coming to mind first. So I think because half of my mind is very creative and half of it is very analytical and loves numbers is the reason why I've kind of been able to do this job so easily from being self-taught. I also got really lucky. One of the first accounts I ever managed was for Lenny and Larry's, and it was a great account to learn on because they let me have creative freedom. I could basically post anything I wanted. They really trusted me, and they had really great followers that were very active and engaging. So it was very easy for me to kind of play with it, see what worked, what didn't, and that's kind of how I got my first start. If you were wondering how I did get that job with no experience, I do have a video, I will link it above, to how I got that job. Have you ever met rude influencers? The answer to that question is absolutely. I don't know what it is about Los Angeles that brings out the snootiness in so many people. It's super unfortunate, but to be honest, I've noticed a correlation in between where people are from. Like, literally the nicest influencer I've ever met on planet Earth is Liza Koshy, 110 million%. And guess what? She's a Texan. What's up? So, I don't know. I just find that people that are from the South that are influencers that I've met are the nicer people. Or like from the Washington area, they're really nice as well. But as far as like rude influencers, they definitely all come from a certain part of the country, I've noticed, unfortunately. Also, one of the rudest influencers I've ever met was David Dobrik, which is kind of strange because now he's like very nice looking online. I don't know if he's changed. I hope he is because he was just very rude when I met him. Gabby Hanna is another rude one. From day one that I've met her, she's always been into other people's business, I guess, which is no surprise to me based on like what you see in the news about her. She's just not very friendly. Oh, and then there was this one influencer. I totally have never told the story, but I was going to a Revolve event. Revolve. They're awful, but I was going to a Revolve event with one of my best friends, Jessa, and we were walking in together and I was holding her hand, and there wasn't like a ton of other people walking into the event, but there was a whole row of paparazzi because there were some celebrities at that event as well, but there wasn't like a line to get in the door. So I'm holding Jessa's hand, and as we're walking in the door to check in, this blonde fashion influencer with this like crinkly curly hair shoulder checks me, like obviously shoulder checks me. It wasn't even subtle whatsoever, and I don't even know who she is. She doesn't know who I am. She's just a very rude girl, and unfortunately, I don't know who she was, but I know she was an influencer because it was an influencer event. It was like only influencers there, and I recognized her face. It might have been this girl named Summer McKean or something. I'm not sure, but it was just totally uncalled for, and you know, I'm from Texas, and normally I wouldn't let that fly, but there was about 50 cameras right there from all those paparazzi, and I wasn't about to have anyone have evidence of me like punching this girl in the face. It was definitely one of the worst experiences I've had as far as like influencers, and a lot of influencers unfortunately are not very nice and they're not what you see online, which is such a bummer. Like when you really like an influencer and you meet them in person and you're just like so let down. And also I've noticed like some influencers will act different in front of fans and some will act different at influencer events. So that also happens with a lot of the beauty influencers. The next question I have is, can you run my Instagram? Unfortunately, right now I am not accepting new clients. I haven't been accepting new clients for a while, but I do have my course if you're interested. Honestly, it is a lot cheaper of an option. I think my course is on sale right now for $10, but it's usually about 50 bucks. I will link it down below. It's on Udemy, and a lot of people have had a lot of success from it, so I recommend learning. If you do need a recommendation for a social media manager, please message me on Instagram, and I would be happy to give you some more information about that. When did you start social media management? I started about 4 years ago. I don't have a degree in this. I just started from the ground up before it really took off as far as a career path, so now it's kind of blown up. I just got pretty lucky in that sense. How much do social media managers make? If you're brand new, starting out fresh, you'll probably make around $40,000 a year. Again, these are California salary rates. I'm not sure how it is in other parts of the country. At this moment, I am in the six-figure range, but I have seen as much as $120,000 for a salary. So it is a really great career path because literally you can start at 40 or 45,000 and do it for a year and start making 60 and start building from there. I've seen that happen with a lot of other social media managers, so we're not having a college education, man. It's a good option. Why do you make so much? I actually get this question a lot. The reason why social media managers make so much money is because there is a lack of well-trained social media managers, and you can't really train them or say, oh, I want the ones that went to this college or took this course, because even if you took a course, that doesn't mean that you have proven that you can do this. So there's a very small number of us that actually know how to do it, and often recruiters are trying to pick out the same ones. So like, even if I'm not looking for a job on LinkedIn, I will have recruiters messaging me all the time because recruiters try to steal and pick and choose different social media managers and kind of swap them out for different brands. A lot of influencers will actually have emails to an influencer brand. Like say you're emailing Tarte, like the makeup brand Tarte, and you have the email jennifer@tarte.com. Well, even if you have that email, if you wait to use it for a couple of months to email them and reach out and try to pitch them, that probably won't work because they're so interchangeable. So people are constantly trying to steal us, so supply and demand, because there's not very many of us, all of us that are really talented are making in the six-figure range for that reason. How do I grow on Instagram? Well, there is a ton of different ways to grow on Instagram, but I'm going to try to simplify it so we're not here all day. In 2020, to grow on Instagram, you need to be posting regularly. You need to be posting like 1 to 2 times a day, every single day. So I'd say post about 10 times per week. You need to be creating content that people really want to see. Like if you're into fitness, if you're getting results, share that. It's really important to create video content. A lot of influencers are losing a lot of engagement because they've gotten lazy. It's so much easier to create photos depending on the person. Granted, if you are a beauty influencer and you're making like a crazy design on your face, well then yeah, that is a little bit different, but people are engaging a lot more with videos. I also recommend posting a lot on Instagram TV, at least like 3 times a week, if not more. Instagram is really trying to push that, and so if you want to be a part of that wave, that is a way to get a little bit more traction. Also, don't forget to hashtag really well. I have a whole lesson on hashtag strategy in my course that goes really far in depth with it, but basically you need to be using all of them and you need to be rotating them out. You can't just use the same hashtags for every single thing. Also, a really basic tip to help you grow is to really focus on the quality of your content. It doesn't need to be shot with a really nice camera, but you should focus on what you're wearing, the lighting and everything. Like if you're trying to be a fashion influencer, your outfits, people should be asking you more and more about your outfits in your real life. And the picture should reflect that. Like really look at the successful influencers and pay attention to their poses, how they crop it. Do they have a ton of editing? Do they have not that much? So there's a lot of different things that come into play with the content, but it's really useful to learn from others. The next question is, what are influencer events like? I would say they're not at all what you would expect. Most of them are not very good, to be honest. One of my friends does throw a really great one that has some good networking and there's some brands there and it's really fun. But for the most part, a lot of them are not very good. If you search on YouTube for some brand trips, like in the Caribbean and all over the place, you'll see that a lot of people have bad experiences with these trips. But as far as like events in LA go, they're not what you would think. It's a lot of very pretentious people, and that's personally something that I really don't want to be a part of. That's one of the reasons we left Calabasas, is because it was just very pretentious there and a lot of people were kind of snooty, and I really don't like that. I find that the fashion influencers are the worst out of all the influencers. I don't mean to like call out all fashion influencers, but certainly a large number of them are not very nice. Like I remember I went to this one Revolve event about 1.5 years ago and everyone was rude. Every single girl there was very cliquey. They just glared at you. They looked at you up and down. Like it was one of the worst experiences. I felt like I was in high school again. Like I wasn't really bullied in high school, but I hear so many stories about people being bullied in high school, and that was definitely a weird vibe that I got there. One of the places that this party was at was a 3-story building, and by the time we hung out in every single floor, and by the time I got to the very top, the only 2 people that were nice to me were these 2 girls at the bar. So unfortunately, it's not what you would expect, and some of the brand events do get really pushy as far as creating content. So a lot of the influencers there are just focused on creating content nonstop. Like, they're not even really enjoying the event. They're just trying to take a million photos. So you either have that aspect of the brand being really, really rude to the influencers that are there and like asking for so much content that it's absolutely obscene and like no one's really enjoying the event. And then you have the other side of it where it's like 70 to 80% pretentious, really stuck up people, unfortunately. I will say that the beauty influencer events are a little bit better than the fashion influencer events as far as the quality of human you will find there. But yeah, not what you would expect. And last but not least, what is the worst part about my job? I'd say the worst part is definitely that it's a new career path. So a lot of people don't understand what I do, the reasoning behind why I post a certain way, like the decisions that I make, the thought process behind it. I find that when I go to these companies, I have to do a lot of hand-holding and explanation. So it's really great when a brand does really trust you and they're like, okay, yes, I believe in what you're doing, go for it. You have a lot of success in what you've done, good. But unfortunately, a lot of times in these really corporate brands, they will fight me on everything I do, even though what I'm doing is generating the best results they've ever had. So I don't know, it's just a lot of corporate brands. It's hard to be in the new space in a corporate world because corporations like to be very old school. They like to really overly manage their employees. It's usually like a cluster and a mess, and unfortunately it just doesn't really work well with what I do, which is a huge bummer because I love what I do and I'm pretty talented at it, and it's just kind of sucks that, like, I don't know. It just kind of sucks when people don't really understand what you're doing and they're more so interrogating you instead of like having gratitude for the amount of success that you've brought the company. So that does happen quite a bit, but I find in LA it happens a lot less. Unfortunately, in Orange County, it happens all the time. And in those companies that aren't as new age and growing, you'll find that more often, which I think is why you don't have it in LA as much, because a lot of LA companies really understand moving forward and the power of social media. I don't have to explain all this to them. They understand why I do the things I do. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and if you did, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. And if you have any other social media questions, drop them down below and I would be happy to continue answering them for you. I'll see y'all next time. Bye!